rise and shine. Coffee's brewing, feeling fine. News is out and on the air. Shizzy whiz nuts wild, but we don't care. Morning whiz and coffee. Talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy whiz nuts, start the show. Let's go. Spinning in the breeze, stupid jokes, he's such a tease. Sip the Java with a smile. Pants are off, but stay a while. Morning whiz and coffee. Talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy whiz, let's start the show. Let's go. Spinning in the breeze, stupid jokes, he's such a tease. Sip the Java, wear a smile. Pants are off, but stay a while. Morning whiz and coffee. Talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy whiz, let's start the show. Let's go. Serious is overrated. Every day we're caffeinated. Talk the town, but in a jest. Morning whiz is always best. Clock is ticking, time to run. Morning show's a load of fun. Grab your mug, don't spill a drop. Laugh your ass off till you pop. Clock is ticking, time to run. Morning show's a load of fun. Grab your mug, don't spill a drop. Laugh your ass off till you pop.
Oh my god, Shizzy breaks Larry. Shizzy broke Larry.
Good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a wonderful day today. Man, oh man, it is morning. It is the 14th. Oh my gosh, time is just flying by. Before you know it, it's going to be like summer. I can't wait. I can't wait. AOC flying first class to Bernie rally wasn't hypocrisy. It was pure socialism. America's socialist sweetheart, Representative Alex AOC, we'll just call her Democrat swizzle stick, recently raised eyebrows among leftists, patriots alike when she was enjoying a first-class flight on her way to speak at, of all things, an event of fellow socialist Bernie Sanders. Well, observers at both ends of the political spectrum thought AOC was being more of a little hypocritical than preaching about income inequality while enjoying all the creature comforts of a first-class flight. Shouldn't a dedicated fighter for the proletariat, I can never say that name, you know, the people, the little people, be flying among the workers she cherishes? The New York Post reported Monday that an incredulous passenger took a photo of the up-and-coming young Bolshevik as she was getting comfy in the room first-class cabin of JetBlue flight JetBlue 511 on March 19th that departed from JFK Airport in Queens for Las Vegas, where she spoke at a Sanders rally fighting oligarchy. She also rallied at the Old Socialist in North Vegas and at the Arizona State University in Tempe. A woman on the flight who was flying in economy class with the real common folk whom AOC professes to champion remarked, "Nothing says power to the people like ignoring voters looking to say hello," and reclining in first class while tweeting about income inequality. AOC is fighting the system one first-class mimosa at a time. No, don't get me wrong. No capitalist would think there's anything wrong with flying first class. Capitalists and socialists alike would question. However, preaching equity, which means great leveling of all distinctions between people and all services offered to them, such as that first-class cabin wouldn't even exist on airplanes and enjoying the same benefits that one insists should not exist. Representative Nicole Malatonis Republican from New York remarked that socialists are hypocrites. I'm surprised she didn't take a private jet like most of her comrades. New York State Conservative Party Chairman Gerard Kasser said that AOC was demonstrating that she is out of touch with her principles. It's absolutely rich in hypocrisy. Hypocrisy is the operative word. It's certainly what it appears to be, but AOC's first class flight is not actually a sign of hypocrisy on her part. For socialists, enjoying the perks that they deny to the masses is not a bug, it's a feature. In practice, socialism and Marxism don't really involve what leftist leaders such as AOC, Bernie, and Barack say mean. That is, usually spreading the wealth around. The wealth is spread around only to the ruling class. Socialism means that the wealth of those who have no political power is confiscated for the benefit of those who do have political power. That's the way leftists have always behaved whenever they're firmly ensconced in power. In the old Soviet Union, while the rhetoric was about how the workers had thrown off their oppressors and were now in charge, the common people were more impoverished than ever, as well as the more powerless. Those who really had the political power and were supposedly running this dictatorship of the proletariat, meanwhile lived up in sumptuous dakas and feasted on gourmet meals served on the finest china. Well, there is a famous photo of Leonid Brezhnev, the Soviet leader in the 60s and 70s, on a luxury boat speeding across the water. The dictator of the proletariat is holding a beer in one hand, and in the other 4 women who are on the photo, along with 2 men besides Brezhnev. There was never a time when Leonid Brezhnev ruled the Soviet Union that ordinary and Soviet citizens could afford to buy a pleasure craft or even to take a ride on one. But the guardians of socialism were different. Soviet people were equal, but some were more equal than others. The ruling class deserved its reward for all its selfless efforts for the people. And so does AOC nowadays. So when AOC actually spoke at Bernie's Socialist Fests, she declared, "We are a community, must choose and vote Democrats and elected officials who know how to stand for the working class." Yeah, just like she does, with the working class flying economy and her intrepid leader in the first class cabin. That's a quintessential manifestation of social justice as the left sees it. Am I really low? Gotcha. Let's see. Let's crank this thing up just a little bit. Maybe that makes it just a little better. Much better? Hopefully. Thank you. I bet we are missing a great article. Is it still too low? Is that much better? Or is that really bad still? If it's really bad, more. You need more. All right. I want you to turn your earbuds down. That's better? Okay. Okay. I was going to flip the switch here and make it explode.
I can talk like this if that makes you feel much better.
No, I won't do that to you. I won't do that. I promise. Okay, better. All right. Yeah, there's an issue. I need to figure that out and get that straightened out at some point in time. Still not where it is usually. All right. Hold your horses. Turn your earbuds down, and I will fix that. Hold on. So turn your earbuds way down, and then whenever I hold up whenever you see me go back to reading the story. All right. 1, 2. Now, this may blow you out of the water. Okay? Is that much better? Okay? It should be much better. All right. There we go. All right, turn them back up now. Go back up with them until you can hear me. All right, that should be much, much better. Perfect. Perfect. There we go. It's crazy. It's crazy how it works. Trees thwart climate change. Oh, yet again. Nature yet again has seemingly outsmarted the climate change propagandists. When I spent time in the Amazon last year with a bona fide shaman and a few other Westerners, we killed time in between the plant medicine, as they call it down down there to shoot the breeze about what the future might hold in terms of man's eternal struggle against nature. Badder, faster, stronger, harder. Another American I met down there firmly believed that no matter how hard mankind might try to destroy or degrade the Amazon, which if you've never seen up close, is massive and intimidating, it would always find a way to continue existing there. I wasn't so sure, given the exponential and potentially destructive growth in technology. In that sense, I came down more on the Unabomber's side of things, minus the bomb mailing, and that the eternal optimism that he imbibed. But he had a point nonetheless. Nature is exceedingly resilient, often in ways we don't yet understand or appreciate. Case in point, apparently in response to higher CO2 levels, trees have demonstrated the capacity to increase their absorption of CO2, acting as more efficient carbon sinks. This is the same phenomenon that was recently discovered in trees in Bangladesh, Thailand, and Australia, suggesting it's global. The amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere has been increasing rapidly, leading to severe climate consequences. However, researchers at Wageningen University have identified an unexpected benefit of the rising CO2 levels. Tropical trees have become more efficient at photosynthesis over the past century. A study revealed that the increase in CO2 concentrations has enabled topical, to enhance their carbon absorbing capabilities. Since higher CO2 levels reduce the occurrence of photorespiration, trees can use more energy for growth and maintenance. This is not only beneficial for trees, but also for humans, as increased photosynthesis means that trees absorb more CO2 from the atmosphere. Eat your heart out, Alcor. From the actual study via New Phytologist. Weird. Rising atmospheric CO2 is rapidly changing the climate of our planet. Ca rise is expected to increase the carbon sink of terrestrial ecosystems, thereby reducing the rate of climate change. The study used D6SR isotopers to reconstruct historical changes in the ratio and this is too much science for me. I can't science this early in the morning. Of course, you might recall that one Bill Gates once famously claimed that the planting more trees was utterly useless for combating climate change, conveniently favoring carbon credit systems and other social engineering projects that he can use to enrich himself. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. Photosynthesis actually was something we learned about in, junior high. I'm pretty sure it was junior high. See how all that science stuff works. But Whitner and Newsom look away from the lunatic fringe as they gaze towards 2028. Don't know how you can, sir. While I may occasionally grouse about the downer nature of political news, I am still a big fan of the game of American politics. That's even more true now that I have decades of activist experience under my belt. I'm also blessed by the ability to be dispassionate when watching the game being played. The aforementioned grousing is most often about the one story dominating several news cycles in a row, making it a slog to find new angles for my contractually obligated commentary. I still have pundit PTSD from the coup. As you are well aware, the news this week has been tariff heavy. I've run out of news to write. I don't know much about tariffs, so I'll just trust President Trump on this and not freak out unless there's an actual reason to. I'm writing this on Thursday evening, and freak out reason has yet to present itself, by the way. Something tariff related caught my eye on Wednesday. It was prompted me to ponder the 2028 presidential election, despite my good friend Stephen Greaves' plea for a moratorium on the subject. Hey, I have to take advantage of sparks of inspiration when they happen. Long before Camel Toe crashed and burned in November, it was pretty obvious that the two frontrunners for the Democrat National Convention nomination in 28 were the two governors, Newsom and Whitmer. I thought all along that Whitmer is the heavy early favorite. She's a lot more politically savvy than people on our side give her credit for, and Michigan much less of a mess than California, heavy emphasis on much. The biggest reason, however, is that the same one that made me laugh off every suggestion that Gavin Newsom would end up replacing Joe Biden on the Dem ticket last year. He doesn't check any of the all holy diversity boxes for the party. I'm not saying that I'm not saying that Newsom can overcome that. Even the Dems can temporarily forget about their DEI obsession for a big enough campaign war chest. Both Newsom and Whitmer are making obvious moves with 2028 in mind. Newsom has been hanging out with conservatives on his podcast. He's not about to unseat Joe Rogan, mind you, but the podcast has generated a lot of publicity for him, some of it bad. It's easy to see that Newsom has a smarmy, any publicity is good publicity ego, and he's probably right when it comes to Democrat politics. They tend to pretend that bad publicity never happened over there. Earlier in the week, Whitmer made a slightly bold move for a 2025 Democrat, which was the Washington Post covered. Whitmer, I hate Whitmer, just annoys the piss out of me. A potential 28 presidential candidate sought Wednesday to distinguish herself from fellow Democrats who have been strongly criticizing President Donald Trump and his tariffs, offering a more nuanced assessment during a speech emphasizing bipartisanship in Washington. The speech came ahead of a meeting with Trump at the White House, her second since Trump returned to office. This isn't about whether I think that Whitmer and Newsom are changing their dark Democrat hearts, because I don't. This is about the game of optics and politics. Ocasio-Cortez, Ocasio, yeah, she's starting to look a little cozy. Maybe drawing some crowds when she and Bernie hit the road to shout at people about zooming guys, oligarchs. But that's just rotting red meat for the Dem base. That Whitmer and Newsom are doing is making ever so subtly play for voters they really need to woo. Regular, non-coastal Democrats who have had enough of the crazy that the party is selling, and independents who also won't be opting in for drag queen story hours anytime soon. They may be the only two Democrats of note who understand why the party had such a rough time of it in the last election. Even if they're both being completely insincere, the mere appearance of them stepping away from the drunk aunts and uncles of the family can be quite powerful. Perception is everything, especially from the modern media area. Well, Democrats are very adept at presenting a facade during a campaign, then reverting to form once in new office. That may be precisely what Whitmer and Newsom are doing now. However, they're also admitting that the Dems' loud and crazy approach isn't a good one. In addition to that, their actions are tacit and acknowledgement that they're aware that the media narrative machine isn't what it used to be. They may not be rushing to the political center, even if one exists for Democrats anymore, but they are slightly turning away from the lunacy that's celebrated by the party elites. It'd be fun to watch the other Dems just try to cancel them. It ain't going to happen. Here's the thing. When it's that time, whenever you're just feeling a little bit of madness and lunacy. It's that moment in life whenever you realize that grandparents are Gen X grandparents. I mean, think about that. Gen X are turned to grandparents, and this is how you know your kids are spending way too much time with their grandparents.
Boom, 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 boom. Fire, I'm going to make a big noise playing and the tree's going to be a big... Man, someday you got mud on your face. Big disgrace. Can get your head all over your place. Singing way, rock you.
Good job. Exactly. Now you know. Now you know. Oh my gosh, Valor, I'm on my chair about to put the heat to ease your pain. Well, if you want to put some heat to ease your pain, just watch last night. Just watch last night. That'll put some heat to ease your pain. Be slightly seared. Slightly seared, yes. Your reverence. Rock on, yes. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. What the hell is this? I saw this today, and so you're going to get to read along with me as I read this. West Coast, Mest Coast, beware people who put this dude on their t-shirt edition. Free Luigi. Historians tell us that the fall of the Roman Empire took hundreds of years to accomplish, but at some critical point, events happened with such rapidity that the velocity made it impossible to hold them, much less turn back. Today on the West Coast, Mest Coast, we are somewhere in the spectrum between attempted deletion of our leaders, hyperinflation, and the Vandal sack of Rome. Indeed, we have reached Luigi Maggioni velocity. Welcome to the West Coast, Mest Coast report here where, besides the deplorable condition of society, there are more things to discuss about the planned implosion of societal norms and the way people are fighting back, yet they haven't ruined everything. Let's get started. I spy with my little eye in San Diego, California. I spied with my little eye this t-shirt. There were others, but this will do as an avatar. Your humble correspondent was brought up to appreciate black humor. Thanks, Mom. Then I moved into a job as a reporter that I also colored by the black humor of cops, docs, nurses, but there's a limit. We've reached it. Yet this is another attempted beautification of the man who pulled out a gun and deleted Brian Thompson, a healthcare insurance CEO, in cold blood. Yeah, takes the cake. The cake is from Orange County. Are you a CEO? Because I'd like to take you out. Kisses. To you from me. Sadly, this isn't the worst of Luigi worship in California on the deletion culture, which the left is so fond of. According to the new study, it gets so much worse. The study from the Network Contagion Research Institute found that a growing number of people, especially Democrats, suffer from a complete collapse of civility, embracing a warped sense of social justice. Joel Finkelstein, that's a name, one of the authors of the report, told Fox Digital what was formerly taboo culturally has become acceptable. We're seeing a clear shift, glorification, increased attempts, and changing norms, all converging into what we define as the deletion culture. Gee, do they all live on the West Coast, West Coast? It sure seems like it. Who approved this initiative title? I've never seen an effort to put an initiative on the ballot that uses implied threats of deletion to get what they want, or else how quaint. Californians are circulating initiative petitions entitled the Luigi Mangione Access to Healthcare Act. The idea is to prevent insurance companies from turning down coverage of treatments recommended by doctors. No insurance may delay, deny, or modify any medical procedure, or medical recommendation by a physician if it could result in serious harm or death. It asserts that only physicians, not insurance companies, have that authority to make changes to a patient's treatment plan, making it illegal for insurance or insurers to intervene. The Attorney General's office in California, headed by Rob Bono, to approve this initiative petition title. It also implies that Mangione was somehow turned down by United Healthcare for his obvious mental and physical maladies. He wasn't connected with the company at all. God has left the building. Our colleague Robert Spencer reports on changes at the University of Portland and its Department of Theology and Religious Studies. The university, which began as a Catholic institution, sits on a promontory above the Willamette River in North Portland and boasts a terrific women's soccer program, which calls Merlo Field its home. Sadly, it appears that God has left the building. The chair of Theology and Religious Studies Department at the University of Portland, David Turnblum, has decided that Jesus didn't really mean it about that whole dying on the cross thing and what that cross represents to humanity. Antifa cops shocks Portland media. And it goes on and on and on. Yeah, people. Just remember, 55 years ago, on April 11th, they launched Apollo 13. Less than a year after Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin became the first men to walk on the moon, the Apollo program had become so routine that people didn't really pay attention to Apollo 13 when it launched from Kennedy Space Center on April 11th, 1970. NASA was reminded again of the waning interest in space exploration with the launch turnout of around 200,000 people. It was a crowd that paled in comparison to the 7 million who had come to see Apollo 11 lift off almost a year earlier. All of that changed 2 days and a few hours later. 55 hours into the mission, the crew of Jim Lovell, Fred Hayes, Jack Swigert did a television broadcast that most television stations didn't carry because they thought the mission was too routine and uninteresting. Shortly after the broadcast, astronaut Jack Luzma, who was serving as capsule communicator for this phase of the mission, asked Swigert to stir the cryogenic oxygen tanks, and all hell broke loose. Mission Control wasn't sure if the spacecraft was experiencing technical issues or if there was a false alarm taking place, but soon people on the ground and the crew in space went into scramble mode. The mission changed from getting Lovell and Hayes to raise to the lunar surface to getting all three men home safely, and there were no guarantees. It was a race against the clock because the command and service module had one fuel cell that was necessary for re-entry. The three astronauts moved into the lunar module, which became their lifeboat. In a conference room at Johnson Spacecraft Center, Space Flight Center in Houston, NASA technicians debated whether to have the astronauts turn around where they were or continue on to the moon, using its gravity to slingshot around it and return home the way they came. The latter option was the final decision. Now, if you've seen that film, Apollo 13, which is this person's all-time favorite movie, celebrates the 30th anniversary of the debut this year. You're aware of the constant contingencies that arose on that doomed mission, the steely determination of mission control and the astronauts, and the overwhelming sense of the worry that permeated the astronauts' return home. There's a spoiler alert, they all survived. The culprit for the explosion was one of the oxygen tanks that Capcom had swiggered stir from the Apollo 13 flight journal. When the tank was being built, an important instruction did not reach the company, who was supplying thermostatic switches to the tank's subcontractor. Although the spacecraft worked on a 28-volt DC, the ground systems and launch pad were changed to work on 65-volt direct current. This change to the 65 occurred when Apollo's development, the world had gone out to ensure that all systems could tolerate this higher voltage. However, the supplier of the thermostatic switches had missed this change. Therefore, when the switches had been called upon to operate and interrupt the power to the heaters, thereby protecting the tank after a ground test, the devices had instead welded themselves shut due to the higher operating voltage. As a result, the heaters within the tank continued to operate, raising its internal temperature to around 500 degrees Celsius. Nice. That's always a good thing. That's what you want to have happen to your shit. Just electrocute. Yeah, so now they know what it was that caused it. Well, those astronauts in mission control reflected on the mission 5 years ago for the 50th anniversary. Lavelle told People magazine that the mission was completely plagued by bad omens, bad luck from the very beginning. Jokes about the designation of Apollo 13, the fact that part of the mission fell on April 13th, abounded. Hayes said that despite the danger of the mission, the overwhelming thought for him was that he wouldn't get to walk on the moon. It was just sick to my stomach with disappointment. He told People everybody seemed to be moving in the right directions without being directed. Kranz said of the quick work mission control did in finding solutions, he added, everybody had a sense of what needed to be done. When the film came out in 95, everybody expected director Ron Howard and the script writers to take some dramatic license, but it still surprised the astronauts. They added some emotional drama to the film. I guess we weren't interesting enough, Hayes told People in 95. One of the factors of the movie that caught him off guard was the profanity. I went over all the air-to-ground transcripts. We never said a cuss word the entire flight. None of us were so pure that we wouldn't have cursed. We just didn't. Maybe you want to watch Apollo 13 sometime this weekend. I'm hoping to even though I have some out-of-town family on the way here, is a video of the launch, which is another fascinating way to remember this once-in-a-lifetime mission.
This is Apollo Saturn Launch Control, T-minus 1 hour, 9 minutes, 59 seconds, and counting. At this time in the command module, Odyssey, the three crewmen, spacecraft commander Jim Lovell, command module pilot Jack Swigert, and lunar module pilot Fred Hayes are very busy. The spacecraft commander and command module pilot are configuring the stabilization and control system for liftoff and aligning that system with the guidance platform aboard the spacecraft. Also going on at this time is a check of the large propulsion system engine below the service module. This engine can be gimbaled in response to commands. This is done in two ways, and these systems are being checked out at this time. There is a thumb wheel control which can set the engine to a preset position for certain maneuvers, and also a rotational hand controller portion of the launch. This particular one is a checkout of the launch vehicle digital computer to ensure that it's ready for launch. 15, guidance release, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. Ignition sequence has started. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. We have prevented, we have liftoff at 2:13. Saturn V building up to 7.6 million pounds of thrust.
Clock is released. Zero program.
And it has cleared the tower.
Clear the tower. Zero complete. Roll program. Houston, roger, roll.
Mark 1, we show the cabin relieving. 13, roger. 13 Houston, stand by for mode 1 Charlie. Mark, you're 1 Charlie. Mark, 1 Charlie. And 13, you're go for staging. Go for staging. Test to ignition. Roger.
Love that. Gotta love the nice rocket blast off. Oh my gosh, I love that. Oh man. The confrontation that triggered top FDA vax regulators termination. Oh man, what was this? According to the AP, ex-official Mark Peters says he's forced out of the FDA after trying to protect vaccine safety data from JFK Jr. Protect, as we'll learn, is a euphemism for hear or hide, thwart, obfuscate. Via the Associated Press, shortly before he was forced to resign, the nation's top vaccine regulator says he refused to grant Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy's Jr. team unrestricted access to a tightly held vaccine safety database, fearing that the information might be manipulated or even deleted. An interviewer with the AP, former Food and Drug Administration vaccine chief Dr. Peter Marks, sort of like I would say dirt marks or stain mark, but hey, discussed his efforts to make nice with Kennedy and address his longstanding concerns about the vaccine safety, including by developing a vaccine transparency action plan. Marks agreed to give Kennedy's associates the ability to read thousands of reports of potential vaccine-related issues sent to the government's Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System, or VAERS, but he would not allow them to directly edit the data. Who the hell does this guy think he is? The short of the long story is a duly appointed and confirmed HHS secretary demands access to data clearly within his purview, subject to his jurisdiction, and some career bureaucrat decides he's not going to hand it over because he doesn't feel like it. But instead of reporting it accurately, as I just did in a short paragraph, a lying corporate state media paints a picture contorting itself into unreal tangles of some kind of heroic stand against fascism or whatever. This has to be actionable crime committed by Marks. Continuing, during his Senate confirmation hearings, Kennedy told lawmakers that he is not anti-vaccine, but since taking office, he's promised to investigate children's shots. There is a little subnote here. It says, note the placement of investigate in quotation marks, planting the reader's mind that there is some ulterior motive at play when RFK Jr. pledges to investigate vaccine safety using actual placebo-controlled studies, which has never happened. And agencies under his watch have terminated vaccine-related research, canceled meetings of vaccine advisors, and are poised to reinvestigate ties between vaccines and autism, a link debunked long ago. Since being sworn in, Mr. Kennedy has increased the pace by which he intends to minimize the use of vaccines in this country. Mark said he tried everything to work with Kennedy. At the center of that effort was a plan to increase publicly available information about vaccine ingredient safety and side effects. Marks and his team had hoped to kick off the initiative with a 2-day public listening session followed by an expert report written by an independent organization such as the National Academies of Sciences. The FAIR system, for the record, is a sick joke, no pun intended, by credible estimates because filing claims has been made intentionally difficult for lay people, and doctors are often actively discouraged from making them. It actually only captures about 1% of total real world vaccine injuries. If you don't believe that, just go check out the Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare Inc.'s in 2011 submitted to HHS, where presumably went straight to the trash bin, including the following. Although 25% of ambulatory patients experience an adverse drug event, less than 0.3% of all adverse drug events and 1 to 13% of serious events are reported to the FDA. Likewise, fewer than 1% of vaccine adverse events are reported. Low reporting rates preclude or slow the identification of problem drugs and vaccines that endanger public health. New surveillance methods for drug and vaccine adverse effects are needed. Crazy, isn't it? But if you want to know the art of the political tantrum, you have this right here. The protests that took place last weekend represent the largest nationwide display of optimism since Trump began his second term. They also represent the mainstreaming of the political tantrum. Donald Trump was elected president by American voters who believed that he was the best choice for America. They believed that the alternative offered by Democrats was the worst choice. Democrats gave us a corrupt left-wing platform headed by a senile old man followed by a woman who appeared to have the brain of a flea. Majority made its choice. If you happen to disagree, you knew that you would have another chance in 4 years. That's how the system works. That system was not good enough for vocal minority that seems to believe the art of the political tantrum. That is, if you scream loudly enough, the results of the election can be overturned. This was apparent from the complaints of the anti-Trump activist hands-off protests around the country. We don't know who is bankrolling these protests, CNN says. They were organized by pro-democracy. CNN says they were organized by a pro-democracy movement in response to what they call a hostile takeover and attack on American rights and freedoms. On the contrary, the protests were the opposite of pro-democracy. They represent the legitimization of the political tantrum, a disease the anti-democrat left. When asked why they are protesting, many respondents don't have a coherent answer. In an ideal America, said one protester from New York City, they are the ones who ought to be running things, not someone who's taken over the country. In other words, Donald Trump is an illegitimate president, even though he was elected by a majority of voters. The validity of the election is being challenged because the stupid people who voted for Trump did so for the wrong reasons. One reason that has been cited as racism. We chose a felon because he didn't want to elect a black woman, argued an angry Princeton University professor on MSNBC. He believes that nearly 80 million voters are racist. I'm glad my kids don't attend Princeton. Another disgruntled protester told Fox News that Americans are afraid to exercise their the right of free speech, despite the fact that protesters are doing precisely that. Others are upset that the Trump administration wants to restore mediocrity and reduce divisive identity politics by eliminating DEI and woke ideology in the federal government. Protesters evidently were not bothered by the rampant ineptitude and corruption of the Biden-Harris administration, runaway inflation, the destructive effect on prices. That didn't bother them. They did not have a problem with the crime and social disruption caused by Biden open border policy. Significantly, they were not disturbed by the use of the DOJ, FBI, IRS to take down Biden's political opponents. Trump, on the other hand, is described as a dictator. Scratching my head now. Democrat Raskin says there's no future with a president who has the politics of Mussolini and the economics of Herbert Hoover. These deluded protesters object that Trump and Musk want to eliminate monumental fraud and waste in Washington. They prefer the same old Biden corruption that characterizes Democrats to a T. The tantrums go over the edge when protesters advocate deleting a president. A recent survey revealed that 55% of the respondents who identified as left of the center said deleting Trump would be at least somewhat justified, and 48% said the same about Elon Musk. Current political tantrum borders on insanity. What is next with them? I don't know. Let's ask Bill Maher. What is Bill Maher whenever he met with Trump? and his mind is blown. Oh my gosh, that's not all that's blown on that guy. So Kid Rock turns out to be friends with both Bill Maher and Donald Trump. They decided it would be a great idea to bring the two together. The great summit took place last week, and on Friday, Maher revealed details of his meeting with the left's Emmanuel Goldstein. The focus of evil in the modern world to severe disappointment of the great part of Maher's fan base. However, while Maher was in the Oval Office, Trump didn't murder any illegals or behead any men who think they're women. Yeah, I know. He was probably saving all that for later. Maher, however, came away thoroughly gobsmacked. Trump was not at all like he expected him to be. You'd almost think that the establishment media has been lying about him all these years. Nah, couldn't be right. No, not at all, could it? Fox News reported Friday that Maher admitted that Trump wasn't the monster he expected, but clearly the often sensible leftist was a bit defensive about straying from the reservation in this way. You can hate me for it, but I'm not a liar. Trump was gracious and measured, anticipating the howls from his leftist friends that are indeed certain to come. Maher then tacked back to the leftist orthodoxy, acknowledging that Orange Man Bad is often a meanie, and why isn't that in other settings? I don't know. I can't answer, and it's not my place to answer. I'm just telling you what I saw, and I wasn't high this time. Maybe. Again, demonstrating his embarrassment at being in a position where he felt it incumbent upon himself to admit that Trump was a perfectly reasonable human being. Maher downplayed the significance of the entire meeting, saying that it was ridiculous to think that it was some kind of summit. Maher insisted, I have no power. I'm an effing comedian, and he's the most powerful leader in the world. I'm not the leader of anything except maybe a contingent of centrist-minded people who think there's got to be a better way of running this country than hating each other at every magnitude. Joyce, how you doing? Your dad was an agent for NSA. He made many trips to NASA, and for the NSA? NSA? So, or was he with part of NASA? He made many trips to NASA and met astronauts and mission control staff. Oh, I was so jealous. You were jealous, Joyce? Don't ever be jealous of somebody achieving something. Those are some wonderful stories. Nah, that's completely understandable. I would totally be with you on that. I'll get you a sticker here shortly. Helmet's on the other side of the room. I'll do it during the break, and I'll slap a nice. Thanks, Joyce. I appreciate you. Bottom line, Trump's rise to power threatens the anti-individual, anti-freedom globalist, and the globalist lost. Now the GOP majority must pass Trump's agenda ASAP before midterms. Maybe, could be possibly the truth there. Morning, all. Good morning. Yes. We're going to have an interesting day today. Well, still trying to reassure his jittery leftist base, Maher insisted he didn't go MAGA, and to the president's credit, there was no pressure to, and he continued to explode the left's Trump's myths, noting that was surprised that Trump actually laughs. He does, including at himself, and it's not fake. Believe me, as a comedian of 40 years, I know a fake laugh when I hear it. Good gravy. Has this man never watched even 30 seconds of a Trump rally? Trump's ability to laugh, including at himself, is one of the most endearing qualities and is on abundant display virtually every time he appears at a rally. And yet here is Maher being shocked, I tell you, that the man never cracks a smile. It's testimony to the power of the leftist propaganda. Maher also said that Trump was much more self-aware than he lets on in public, and didn't get mad even when Maher asserted that he'd actually lost the 2020 presidential election. It doesn't seem to have occurred to Bill that he thinks Trump doesn't appear to be self-aware in public, not because he really isn't self-aware, but because that's how the leftist established media constantly portrays him. Foreseeing further fuming from his friends, Maher said, look, I get it. It doesn't matter who he is at a private dinner with a comedian. It matters who he is on the world stage. And I'm just taking as positive that this person exists because everything I've ever not liked about him was, I swear to God, absent at least on this night with this guy. Maybe it was never there in the first place, Bill. Maybe you've been lied to on a grand scale. I've had so many conversations with prominent people, Maher continued, who are much less connected. People who don't look you in the eye. People who don't really listen because they just want to get into their next thing. None of that was him. And he mostly steered the conversation to, what do you think about this? I know your mind is blown. So is mine. Maher deserves credit for being honest about what's happening at that meeting. If only his friends and allies were that inclined to tell the truth. Come what may. Shizzy, is your helmet on the other side of the room after the letter reading or Sunday Spice? Probably a little bit of both. No, I was doing a little bit of straightening around here, and I found that I had not placed it back where it needed to be, right here, arm's reach. I don't know. Maybe the helmet is losing its luster. We'll have to spice it up a little bit more and get it shinier is what we need to do. Absolutely. I had a blast last night. You guys were so much fun. And yes, we had just as much fun as you did. I guarantee you that we had just as much fun as you did. And for just a moment, we're gonna take a little bit of a break, just to grab ourselves a little bit of coffee. But before we do that, I got to tell you, June is coming up, and without this, you're gonna, you know that in June, this is gonna get really good. So, tell me, does this appeal to you? Let me see. Nope, that's not it. I already got that one. Nope. I'm not seeing it. Where did it go? Well, we'll just play this for you. There's more names added to it, but this one's going to do for right now. Here we go.
Let's get started. Oh, that's real good.
Ain't nobody stopping me.
Step aside, y'all, it's my time to shine. I'm feeling the groove with these hips of mine. Hands in the air like spaghetti gone rogue. My knees are jelly and my hips just broke. Shaking it, breaking it, what a blast. Wobble it, wiggle it, shake that ass. Do a jig or a jog, wiggle it to the side, or break that hip bone by moving your ass. Step up or stand aside. My shoulders pop like a rusty hinge. My fingers point like they're on a binge. Twirl like a tornado, then drop real low. It's not planned, it's a shit sideshow. I've got the rhythm of a clock that's broke. My dance floor moves are a big effing joke. Shaking it, breaking it, what a blast. Wobble it, wiggle it, shake that ass. Do a jig or a jog, wiggle it to the side, or break that hip bone by moving your ass. Step up or stand aside. Rig like lava lamp, mesmerizing glow. You can't help but watch me steal the show. I summon the shake, the shimmy, the twist, a mix of genius and a big old fist. You're drawn in close, your feet start to twitch, feeling the groove like a broke-ass bitch. Yeah! Shaking it, breaking it, what a blast. Wobble it, wiggle it, shake that ass. Do a jig or a jog, wiggle it to the side, or break that hip bone by moving your ass. Step up or stand aside. Now we're all in the shake, no need to be shy. Join the dance, let your weirdness unfurl. We're shaking ass, not a care in the world.
I think you misunderstood me. I said you need to give Elmo 2 test tickles before shipping.
Ah, test tickles? I thought you said...
You like what you see, baby? Elmo's a man now.
Yeah, I am muted. Damn, still muted. God bless. Oh, I muted whenever I was coughing. Good job. Good job. How long have I been muted? Probably like 2 stories. I've hit that like button 10 times and I just want it to go up. If I get these 1,000 subs, I will send a video of me dancing and add to his collection because I got balls. Thank you. Thank you. Did we miss a world-class speech? Nah. I never have anything world-class. Never. Just, I'm telling you, nothing I ever say is very important. If you don't believe me, you can ask. You can ask. You can ask this lady. Oh my God. Karine Jean Pierre wins Torchbearer on Communications DEI Award. Testicles. Go. Hey, MG Law, how you doing, brother? Good to see you. Good to see you. Oh my gosh, yes. Last night was an absolute blast. I'm hoping that everybody had a good time last night. I really do. It was you just have no idea how much fun we had. We were hoping that Mo would have been able to join us, but unfortunately she couldn't. That's how it goes. Yes. MG, I hope you're doing well this morning because it has been a while. It's been a while. See, MG streams late at night, and then we miss each other in the mornings because he's usually, sitting around in his boxers early in the morning, and he doesn't want to expose himself on screen. Good morning, MG. Good morning. So I'll admit that I tremendously miss the semi-illiterate or diversity mascot that the Brandon regime subjected to the American public on a semi-daily basis for 2.5 years in the service of disseminating government propaganda. The Trump press secretary, Carolyn Levitt, and her replacement is far too competent at her job for my taste. Her subjects and verbs almost always agree. My bread and butter for so long was harvesting for you people juicy clips of Karine Jean Pierre stumbling awkwardly through her binder in desperate search for something that could be construed as an answer to reporters' softball questions and tussling with one mouthy African reporter who never asked her any real questions in epic black-on-black crime moments before he was summarily removed from the press pool. Since she's been gone, nothing has been quite the same. The Greater Washington Urban League, which bestows awards for Black excellence, agrees that America lost something really great. So they gave her a Torchbearer in Communications Award. Karine Jean June Peranio, something or other, former White House press secretary under the Biden administration, received on Friday the inaugural Torchbearer in Communications Award from the Greater Washington Urban League. On March 28th, its annual Whitney M. Young Jr. Gala, the nonprofit which focuses on economic empowerment, recognized Jean Pierre's work and courage under fire during her time at the White House. In that role, she navigated a hostile political landscape, fielding difficult questions and defending Biden administration policies, all the while facing criticism and personal attacks as the first Black and open, alphabet person who served as White House press secretary. courage under fire as she was weathering artillery shelling in some trench somewhere. She got highly paid to lie to milquetoast, largely complaint reporters on behalf of the government. Continuing with that delusion, I was able to stand at that podium every day and honor democracy in action, honor what it means to be in that place that was built by us, and it was not lost on me. Every time I walked into the West Wing and thought to myself, here I am. I was not supposed to be in that place. A statistic. I was not supposed to be there, but here I am. I made it. The audience included sports and political leaders, community advocates, and folks visibly moved by Jean Pierre's remarks, with some wiping away tears, others nodding in agreement. If you've never heard of it, the Greater Washington Urban League is your basic DEI grift, raking in donations to fight for equity and whatever that you'd imagine it based on by its name. At the Greater Washington Urban League, we envision a future where Black communities across the DC metro area flourish, free from the weight of the systematic racism and the violence. Our mission is to elevate the economic and political power of the historically marginalized communities, Black and the people of the color, so that every individual has the opportunity to thrive. We stand for racial justice, equality, and self-reliance, working together to break down the barriers that have held back generations. How many generations? It's not that many generations if you think about it. Pickled, howdy Pickled. Diane, they broke into each other 3 minutes. It was great. Good morning, all. Thanks for the laughs last night. Needed as I'm still here at the hospital awaiting surgery that you broke on Friday at PT. So much fun. For the weather reports, growing injuries, occasional law commentary, subscribe to MG Law at YouTube. MG Law. Crazy stuff. All right, here it comes. This is National Public Health Week. It's an exercise in delusion and hubris. Every year for 3 decades, the nation's vaunted public health experts, cheers to them, have congregated to congratulate themselves or just have a round table of a circle jerk on the excellent work they've done making America the most chronically ill nation on earth, despite spending more per capita on so-called health care than any as well. Yes, for public health agencies across the country, the Trump administration has meant taking blow after destabilizing blow. The COOF pandemic dollars were pulled. States like Minnesota and cities like Austin cut jobs, have been federally funded research grants that were canceled at the name of exercising diversity programs. Against their backdrop, public health experts gathered this week at George Washington University in Washington for the annual event called National Public Health Week, now in its 30th year. Some might call overseeing a historically unprecedented chronic disease epidemic an abject failure. The public health experts call it a smashing success. The reason for their good work is not properly appreciated. You'll be made to understand is disinformation and conspiracy theories continuing. I find it ironic that we're talking about the progress that public health has made, given that we are given the active work. We undo what we did, said Brian Castroni, an epidemiologist who is president and CEO of the public health-focused T. Beaumont Foundation. We wiped out smallpox. We ended disease. We used to invest in science and fund the people who delivered this for us. We were on the path to being the healthiest nation, and now we're not. Castroni pointed his finger at people in the federal government. We advanced conspiracy theorists over people who are scientists. He said, we have experts silenced and public health workers being demonized for doing their jobs. I mean, being questioned. Interesting. Peer review always does go quite a long way, except whenever all your peers are in agreement of doing the same thing over and over again. That doesn't help. Tell us how that went whenever the guy that created insulin, for those that might be diabetic and wanted it to be affordable for everyone to have that insulin. Now drug companies have control over those patents, and they charge way more money than is necessary on those. Tell me how your health insurance really, your health pharmacy companies, your scientists, as you may find that acceptable. Dollar bills. How could they be so wrong? There's probably a lot going on here: moral bankruptcy, self-serving denial of reality, hubris stoked by unending praise from the establishment media and the permanent ruling class. Then, of course, there's the all-powerful phenomenon of groupthink, a mode of thinking people engaged in what they're deeply involved as a cohesive in-group. When the members striving for unanimity override their motivation, realistically appraise alternative courses of action. Groupthink refers to a deterioration of mental efficiency, reality testing, and moral judgment that results from in-group pressures. In other words, these people belong to a cult, but not like a relatively harmless cult of a bunch of loons on a compound somewhere in Waco who aren't harming anyone but themselves, but ones with access to biolabs engineering viruses later to be released and then used as a pretext for the assumption of totalitarian control that would otherwise be impossible to achieve in a free Western society without the terror that they themselves created. Continuing, Castrucci told the profession he had to be more personal and more political. That means fighting back when the enemy is misinformation, the spread of incorrect claims and disinformation, the intentional dissemination of falsehoods to achieve economic or political goal, yet meeting people where they are and with the information they're ready to hear. And in the ways they're ready to hear, in the ways they're ready to hear it from the sources they trust, said Julia Daisy Foster-Romeo, director of the Public Interest in Communications Research Laboratory at West Virginia University, again, with this guy claiming that the problem is that public health isn't politicized enough. It's nearly inconceivable to imagine these people getting the diagnosis more wrong. Alas, Castroni will continue failing upwards, and if he keeps it up, he might be the next Democrat administration's Surgeon General. Written by Benjamin Barty. He actually has his own book out there. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Well, later I have my favorites. You take care. I have my favorites. I'll see you later. Thank you so much for the stickers. And we will have some wonderful, wonderful stuff for you guys tonight. Nothing. I just got done and stood up and got dizzy. I do that quite often. I get up, stand. Usually whenever I get up and get hard, I get dizzy too. And this is for that. Wonderful. I've almost forgot to get my star out for Joyce Byrne. Thank you very much, Joyce. There's your super sticker. I totally forgot about it, but there it is, Joyce. Thank you so much. Oh, just slapping those stickers right the heck on there. Yes, I have brought the helmet back over. It is back live with me again. Oh, yes. Well, it's no secret the Democrats are in a tough spot right now. Between the historically low poll numbers and Trump's resilience, they are in a really tight spot that bodes horribly for their party in the coming years. The Democrat brand is in shambles. The party is without a leader or popular vision for America. Naturally, it's the Democrats on the far left who think they have a secret sauce to make the party more palatable to a country and defeat Trump. Leading the charge yet again is Senator Elizabeth Warren, who resurfaced on CNN's State of the Union with Jake Tapper. During Sunday's episode, Warren rolled out what she dubbed her secret super-duper strategy to stop President Donald Trump, who remains firmly in control of the political conversation with a bold and focused first 100 days. Tapper doing his best to highlight Democratic struggles. Started by noting, given all the chaos, that the president's approval numbers are declining. Given all the uncertainty in the market, why do you think the Democrat Party with such a low approval rating? I would think this would be an opportunity for Democrats to rise to an alternative, but it doesn't seem like that's happening. As you know, your party's approval ratings are historically low. Well, Warren predictably answered.
Given all the chaos, given the fact that the president's approval ratings are declining, given all the uncertainty in the market, why do you think the Democratic Party has such a low approval rating? I would think this would be an opportunity for Democrats to rise and present an alternative, but it doesn't seem like that's happening. And as you know, your party's approval ratings are historically low.
Look, the way I look at this is that Donald Trump has created a lot of chaos in his first 3 months in Washington. Remember, he started out, made the promise that on day one, he would lower prices for American families. Those were his words on day one. By the time he gets 2 months in and he's told that his tariff plans will increase costs, his answer was he couldn't care less. I think that the Democrats have really coalesced around the central message. Our job is to fight to lower those costs for American families. Our job is to fight against a Republican Party that.
No, your job is to your job was not to do that. Your job was to actually listen to what the people are telling you that you need to do and move forward as such. You're not in control of that. Why don't they offer some solution, not just criticism, fix the problem, not the blame? Exactly, Buck Naked. That is correctly. What about the people in the middle, the forgotten moderate? Oh, there's quite a few of those people. I will tell you, there's quite a few people there that are in the middle. And it's not about taking sides. That's always the problem. The prices are lower, Pocahontas. Exactly. Volstorm hit it right there. And it is about the forgotten people, but you're not. That's the thing. You have to be able to stand up for what you want to have happen in any sort of government. If you tell your politicians, you speak to them, but the problem is most of them don't listen. That's both on the left and the right. They're whenever they get this false sense of control, they want to take over the narrative of what you're telling them. No, I don't want to have this happen in my state. I don't want to have this happen federally. It gets ridiculous. Your job is to give me 2 stickers. My job is, it's only 1 sticker, son. Well, yeah, I might have to give you 2, J-Hip. I might have to give you 2. There we go. J-Hip, that is for you right there. Yep, a sticker for you there. And, because I probably missed one before, which I intended to do, there's a second one for you. You are on the side of my head right there, J-Hip. Good to see you. I hope you're doing well today, brother. I hope you're doing well. Hope you are doing wonderful. Morning, Debbie. Yes. Hey, J-Hip, good to see you, brother. Keep up the good work, man. Oh my gosh. Yeah, the politicians tend to forget what their job is, that they were elected by the people, and the people are telling them what to do. And if they're not listening to the people, but just to one fringe side either way, then they're not listening to the majority of what they like to call the moderates right in the middle. Yeah.
Not only doesn't care about those families, but is working hard right now while all this chaos is going on to give more tax cuts to billionaires and billionaire corporations and to cut access to Social Security.
Okay, tell me how much, Elizabeth Warren. How much are you worth, Elizabeth Warren? I'm just curious, how much money do you make per year? What is it, $200,000 a year that she pulls in of state taxpayer money, federal money, plus the donations, and all of this stuff goes into her back pocket. How much money do you actually make per year, Elizabeth Warren? Is it that $200 salary? So tell me, in the few years that you've been in office, that you're now a multimillionaire. Tell me how that works, Elizabeth. Is it most people that are just trying to make ends meet, but yet you sit high and aloft in your nice little cozy house that probably costs more than most people will see their entire lifetime, all on that low salary. It's amazing. You used to say millionaire until she became one. Now it's billionaire. Exactly. Until she becomes one, that'll be trillionaires and so on and so forth. But you also have to remember that money is easy come, easy go. You may be able to do everything in your power to save and scrimp and, maybe achieve something and then have it taken away in a second's notice. It does happen. Speaking of having things taken away at a moment's notice, there's only one thing that really matters, and And that's this right here.
You stick in your 2 fingers like this, and then place your thumb on top like so. That will increase the pleasure.
Who's laughing now?
Hey, how you doing, brother?
Oh man, well, as what I'm usually doing in the morning. Listen to your show. I'm sitting around in my boxers driving down the highway.
Yeah, I mean that's the only way to travel is in your boxers going down the highway. Oh my God!
Elizabeth Warren is such a freaking moron.
Yes. They tend to forget about the somebody in chat said, well, what about the moderates? It's just like, yeah, that's usually what happens.
They don't care. They don't care about the moderates.
No,
they act like they do, but they don't.
No.
Or they say they do, but their actions speak of it.
Yeah, their
but
actions.
She's complaining about billionaires getting tax cuts. So the billionaires really don't have much of an income. They make their wealth is from their assets.
Yes,
it's not from actual income. But when you look at IRS statistics, the top 50% of wage income earners pay almost 100% of income taxes, like 97% of income taxes. So perhaps maybe the top 50% are the ones who are entitled to a tax cut. They're basically the only ones paying income taxes.
Well, and wouldn't it be really interesting if what Trump is trying to achieve actually happens? I mean, it's a far-fetched theory that we actually government waste and are able to dial those things back where maybe people don't have to pay as much in taxes because, well, geez, there's not that much necessity for it. But we've known the government to never back off on taxing somebody who want to. It's very hard to get rid of those. It's really, really hard to get rid of those taxes.
Oh yeah. Well, when the income tax was implemented, it was only the top 1% were going to pay it, and that didn't last very long.
Well, it's better than getting slammed in the backside. And now the other smart man comes rolling.
Oh, are you bringing somebody else on?
No, definitely not.
He's going to bring on the expert.
Yeah. Boy, talking about a show deteriorating. I love how politicians that supported Too Big to Fail are up there complaining about billionaire corporations. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
All their fun. You think they would complain about it? They're the ones that fund their campaigns.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure behind closed doors they're like, now I have to say this in order to be able to get the vote, but just know I don't mean you.
Exactly.
It's really interesting because right before that Too Big to Fail stuff, my wife and I had purchased a house, and I mean it was more than we could afford at the time. Let's put it that way. And I mean, my wife it makes pretty good money at the time. We were just like, yeah, we can afford this. I mean, it's we couldn't have gotten a loan unless we it was the way that we went about it. But we talked to a friend of ours that was a banker, and this was at a time where those subprime loans before they were coming in, he was shaking his head, going, we're being forced by the federal government to give these loans. If we don't, think we risk being shut down.
Right.
We have no choice because it was all this diversity, equity, inclusion. He goes, these people cannot afford these loans, and I don't know how long this can last. And within a year, we had the crash. I mean, it was insane. Just everything went just tanked. And those same people got bailed out. I think at that point he gave up on his job and found another job. He was like, all these people are hating me now, and I had nothing to do with it. We were forced to do this.
Right.
Well, it all stemmed back from the Community Reinvestment Act under Clinton. It built up enough to where it just was unsustainable.
Yeah. Well, it's another example of DEI gone wrong. It was we're gonna reach out and we're gonna give these loans to these people who obviously don't qualify, but because they are in a certain category, we have to give them these loans. And what ended up happening? Everything crapped out.
Thank you. Yeah, Patrick W says
they couldn't afford the homes.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean there was a lot of builders that went out of business because they were building like absolute crazy because there was a high demand for homes. And I mean, I saw it in the neighborhood that I was living in at the time. All these almost like McMansions were just going up left and right, and within a year of that happening, everything, just there was like half-built houses that just were left. And I mean, they just abandoned their loans defaulted. And I mean, it put these guys out of business like quick. And I don't understand that people missed all of that. And I think Tom Gillis.
What's up,
Tom Gillis is 100 away from 10,000 subs. Now, if you haven't subbed up to Tom Gillis, you need
come on,
sub up to Tom Gillis. I mean, where else are you going to find a verified like PGA Tour master?
Yeah,
a man that has the golfing skills that I will never be able to achieve. Now, see exactly. He's like, help me. I'm running around here in my boxer shorts. I have my ween halfway hanging out. He wouldn't hang it out all the way. To do that,
for some of us that is all the way,
but yes, you need to go up to this man. I mean, I've got 114 of you guys in here.
There you go.
If half of you subbed up, right there.
I got your link up there, buddy.
There's the link.
Hell yeah.
Go.
As I'm slowly approaching 8,300 again, going the wrong way.
Wow.
YouTube just takes away. I'm like, went from 84 and I'm just slowly going down to 8,300.
Well, MC, we do like whenever you slowly go down. Just saying.
My wife does. So.
Oh my God!
Now, Volstorm, did you recover Friday night after Dictionary Diva was looking at Tom Selleck?
No. What I didn't recover from was last night's show on Sunday Spice. That's what I have not recovered from. If anybody watched that, oh dear Lord!
Oh God, it got so bad. It got so bad. It's yeah. I think that Diva just about broke the internet last night.
Yeah, that ain't all she about broke.
There's a reason why we headed out early.
That's right. Well, look at the time. We gotta go.
It was on fire. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'm sorry, but I think I'm going to have to uninvite Yamaha because he got all those ladies just like they couldn't even type. They were having such a hard time even typing in chat because their hands were shaking or busy with other things.
You could say the room was rather moist.
I swear T-Rex must be driving on the highway in front of me.
He's swerving all over the road.
We're in a construction zone, and it's a solid white line. You're not supposed to change lanes. His ass just cut off another semi.
Yep. No. It's not T-Rex. It didn't break yet.
The lanes were shifting, and he just cut on over.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I do what I want. It has to be T-Rex.
Now, T-Rex is normally on the side of the road with a broke down vehicle.
Yeah.
Well, he was trying to wreck somebody else.
Oh, you said last night's theme song was "I Touched Myself." Yes, yes.
Yeah.
There was
fair.
a lot. Yeah, a lot of that touching going on. All I know is there was a lot of ladies saying that the ice cubes were necessary.
Yeah. Yeah, the ice cubes were definitely a necessity. Of course, they probably didn't last very long.
Well, wore out a few shop vacs.
Oh my gosh. Hello, Stacy. Good to see you this morning. Yes, golf is a wonderful 4-letter word that should be used more often. Excellent, Jay. Yep. Yeah, and spread the word around. We're trying to, Tom Gillis is an awesome person. And I think, that 10,000, it would warm his little hearts, to just, it would be like this warm, fuzzy feeling somewhere in the nipple area. And then he sees Yamaha and, well, his whole body warms up. I think I might have a Ready Whip mention. Hey,
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. I saw that one.
Oh my gosh. So what have you got going on tonight, MG? Are you doing a stream tonight?
I'm gonna try to. I planned on doing Saturday night, but I was just too damn tired.
Oh yeah, you had the black belt competitions on Saturday.
Yeah,
didn't you?
and my 8-year-old daughter got to beat me up for a self-defense demonstration.
Nice. Did she take out your
Actually,
glory?
I actually do have bruises on my arm and side from where she was pressing on pressure points with keys and a pencil and yeah. They liked it because they were like, oh, she wasn't. When she grabbed my arm the first time, she was like, it's right about here. And she's like, bam, like 3 fingers above the elbow.
Yeah. I know
I got a bruise.
Yeah, that'll leave.
Boy, talk about doing anything you can to get out going to Dollywood. Gee. That's a bit much, MG.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah. We I know that we've also got the Dollywood coming up, and White Rabbit gave me a new one. It's in QuickTime, so I'm going to have to transfer that over into MP format because QuickTime doesn't really like to play on the computer.
Well, good. When you figure out how to do that, tell me how to do it because that's how she sends it to me, and I'm like, I don't know how to convert this.
I'll convert it and send it over to you.
All right.
Yeah, I'll convert it and send it over.
And Baker, he's like, oh, I just do the little thing on this, and it just does it. And I'm like, well, good for you. I don't do this stuff, okay? Good for you, Mr. Streaming is my profession.
Yeah, I mean, look at
Mr. 15,000 subs.
Yeah, Mr. 15,000. It's probably going to grow more because Karen Reed 2.0 starts soon.
Oh my God, that's so.
Yeah, I think tomorrow.
He put up a note. He thought it was being pushed to Wednesday.
Okay,
but who knows?
Well, there's a lot going on over.
Yeah, because up there's some like holiday up there in like Massachusetts or something from the 15th.
Like
there's no telling,
right?
Yeah, they have some stupid celebration.
Oh, is that Patriots Day?
I don't know.
Where they're basically it's acknowledgement of the of the kabooming for the Boston Marathon. I think they call that Patriots Day.
Do they?
Okay.
Yeah.
Who do they? Knowing how left-wing Massachusetts is, who are they thinking is the Patriots?
I have no idea.
Because their policies are what allowed those jackasses to come over here and stay to begin with. So.
Well,
another innocent.
They want to bring more of them over from that we sent away.
Another innocent
trying to force us to bring them back. So get you a crockpot box.
Crockpot box.
Did you guys see the Tickle Me Elmo?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I gotta play it again.
It's pretty funny. Show it again.
It kills me.
I think you misunderstood me. I said you need to give Elmo 2 test tickles before shipping.
Ah, test tickles? I thought you said...
You like what you see, baby? Elmo's a man now.
Send me that clip because I want to. I'm gonna send that one to my wife because we send stupid clips to each other. So.
Oh, well,
do that voice, Kaiser.
Yeah. Here we go. I'll just repost it. You check me on Twitter there, and you'll be able to find it.
All right.
Oh my god. Oh my god, that just killed me.
Damn it, these two semis are still battling up here. Holy crap.
Well, we do have one thing I want to show you. This was captured on a Ring camera.
Open the door?
No, I can't. Can you show me the order?
Yes. If you would check your email, those orders have been sent to you.
Which email? Which email?
The one that is with the school.
Which email? Hello, you sent the removal orders 3 minutes ago. I just forwarded them to my lawyer. There hasn't been a hearing, so you can't take my children right now. I will not open the door to you. We're going to follow this up with suit against you and family services. This is an illegal tactic and a deep violation of my civil rights. I already have the video evidence that I needed, and I was already seeking civil rights litigation. This is just going to be another one on top of it. There has not been a hearing. There is no removal order. This is something that you have submitted to the court, and you just sent it to me 3 minutes ago. I have the timestamp on when you sent it to me, and you sent it to my work email, not the email I have on file with the school, which is my Gmail. You're a liar. It's obvious from your demeanor. It's obvious from your demeanor that you are ill-intended also. You're shifty. You're shady. You're self-soothing with your hand, and I don't trust you. I will not open the door. You're free to break down the door and break and enter my property, and what happens after that will just be what happens after that. Feel free to do so. You're not answering my lawyer. You said you were going to stop by yesterday. You're a liar. You said that you would submit a Freedom of Information Act request telling me what's going on right now. Instead, you show up with these false orders. And there's going to be a deeper investigation going on. Believe me, your problem is that I have the money to fight this. Your problem is that I have the civil rights attorneys to bring you to justice. You're corrupt. Get off my property. You're trespassing on my property. Get off my property right now. Get off my property right now.
And that's how you deal with them.
Yep. Because if they had the order, they'd have busted the door down.
Yep.
Uh-huh. Yep.
The policemen and the policemen are right there. They're just as liable right there. They're there with her.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. As this person says, rights, use them or lose them. Bravo for the father. Know your rights. Good for them.
Child Protective Services is a fucking joke.
Yeah.
I
mean, you need more kids like this right there.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom. Fire, boy, make a big noise playing in the street. Gonna be a big man someday. You got mud on your face. Big disgrace. You get your head all over your place. Singing way, rock you.
Bless your heart. I thought I was the only mentally challenged one here.
Get it, yeah, oh yeah. Early morning, rise and shine. Coffee's brewing, feeling fine. News is out and on the air. Shizzy whiz nuts wild, but we don't care. Morning, Whiz and Coffee. Talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy whiz nuts, start the show. Let's go. Get it, yeah, oh yeah. Headlines spinning in the breeze. Stupid jokes, he's such a tease. Sip the Java, wear a smile. Pants are off, but stay a while. Morning Whiz and Coffee. Talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy Whiz, let's start the show. Let's go. Spinning in the breeze. Stupid jokes, he's such a tease. Sip the Java, wear a smile. Pants are off, but stay a while. Morning Whiz and Coffee. Talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy Whiz, let's start the show. Let's go. Get it, yeah, oh yeah. Serious is overrated. Every day we're caffeinated. Talk the town, but in a jest. Morning Whiz is always best. Clock is ticking, time to run. Morning show's a load of fun. Grab your mug, don't spill a drop. Laugh your ass off till you pop. Clock is ticking, time to run. Morning show's a load of fun. Grab your mug, don't spill a drop. Laugh your ass off till you pop.
Oh my god, Shizzy breaks Larry. Shizzy broke Larry.
Go show Mo